Could you imagine telling your children that you're going to die soon? And they just start arguing about who's going to get the house, who's going to get your car, who's going to get all your stuff. I mean, that's basically what Jesus had to put up with. He would tell his apostles he's going to go to Jerusalem and suffer and die. And they would just start arguing about who's going to be the greatest when you're gone, who's going to sit on your throne when you're gone. And so could you imagine how Jesus felt? I mean, he's talking about the ultimate self-sacrifice. And here they are arguing about self-advancement like they're calling shotgun or something. And that's exactly what's happening in Mark chapter 9. But instead of rebuking them, he gives them the ultimate illustration. He takes up a child in his arms. And he says, whoever receives one of these little children in my name shall also receive me. But not just me, but him who sent me. Notice he doesn't say become like this child. That's a different time, different lesson. But he says whoever receives this child. He's talking about receiving. That word means to be hospitable to or to serve. And this is not just talking about serving children, although that's part of it. He's talking about serving those who can't do anything for you in return. Think about how much glory, what do you get in return for changing a diaper? Don't get anything. They don't get up and pat you on the back and say, good job, Daddy. Believe me, I know. But this is about serving the little people who seem insignificant that can't do anything for you in return. And Jesus says when we receive those kind of people, we're actually receiving him. And that reminds me of an illustration. I told a story about a rich man who didn't have any children to give an inheritance to. But he had 2 nephews. And they were nice and kind and generous enough to him. But he didn't know if they were being that way because that's who they actually are or if they were just trying to get an inheritance. And so he had a plan. He decided he was going to dress up as a homeless man and sit outside each of their homes. And based upon how they respond to this man, he was going to determine his inheritance or the will. And so he sat outside the first nephew's home and he ignored him. And eventually he came out and said, get away from here. I don't want anything to do with you. But then he sat outside the second nephew's home and he brought him a glass of cold water and some food and some clothes and he took him into his home. Guess who got the inheritance? Well, that's a very similar way that Jesus deals with us. In Matthew 25, we have this great white judgment scene. And Jesus has divided out people, some on his right, some on his left. And those on his right, he said, enter in. Because I was hungry and you gave me food. I was thirsty and you gave me a drink. I was naked, you gave me clothes. I was sick and in prison and you visited me. And they're scratching their heads wondering, Jesus, when did we ever see you like that? And Jesus says, inasmuch as you did to these little ones, you also did to me. And those on his left, he said, depart from me. I was hungry and you didn't give me food. I was thirsty and you didn't give me any water. And they're scratching their heads wondering, Jesus, when did we ever see you like that? And Jesus said, inasmuch as you did not do to these, you did not do to me. You see, in Jesus' kingdom, greatness is about selflessness. It's about doing things for people, small things that don't always get glory. It's about serving people that are not always able to do something for you. Greatness and the glory of God is not about glory at all. In fact, it's about being a servant, having a servant's heart. So the next time we have an opportunity to serve somebody else, let's remember that we're also serving Jesus.